but Ryan, what was the upside with anybody else, really?
Better than the worst quarterback performance in the NFL. Like, am I crazy right now? Like, this is what I'm saying, guys. Like, they chose Justin Fields, a guy who had led some of the worst passing offenses in the last couple of years. And now, when the same thing repeats for your team, you should have known it was coming. Hello, and welcome to Gangs All Here. My name is Ryan Sampson, the host and producer of the show. That's our Jets beat writer, Brian Costello, and that's my guy, Frankie Vitariti from U Stadium. Today is Friday, November 21st, Week 12 of the NFL season, gentlemen. The New York Jets are coming off a loss in Thursday Night Football against the New England Patriots, and we're here to discuss the Jets are making a change at quarterback. They are going with Tyrod Taylor. We will break down that matchup with Tyrod being the starting quarterback against the Ravens. We'll talk about Frankie's amazing trip to Aruba, and then we'll discuss how you both had a rough week when it came to over and unders last week. But before we get to any of that, I think someone might be on IR right now, Kaz. I got to go with Frankie. How you feeling right now, bud?
Listen, gentlemen, everyone out there, I have a cracked rib. I have a stage 2 AC joint sprain, or however they describe it. Yeah, no, I was in Aruba. I had a nice little weekend. Monday morning rolls around. We're all going to the beach, and I thought I could handle those mini scooters. I was trying to whip it around a little bit. Some lady pulled up short in front of me, or I was approaching her too fast, probably is a better way to describe it. I tried to be cool, but I'm a big guy. I was wearing flip-flops. I really didn't have a base, and I hit the deck hard. I hit it real hard. I'm on IR. I have a few bruises here, but you fight to live another day. I was trying to just go to the beach and have a nice Monday morning, and maybe I'm lucky. I have my teeth in place. I'm alive, but yeah, it was a rough one.
Ryan, what's our budget at Gangs All Here? Do you know?
It's not much. It's not much.
We'll give you. Anyone has video of Frankie doing the header on the scooter? We'll come up with something. We'll come up with some money for you. So,
Frankie, like,
if we have anyone.
I have so many questions.
Was your friend filming, Frankie, by a chance?
Yeah.
Is your friend,
No, it was outside the Hilton. So it's the Hilton. They have those scooter rentals. So we were leaving the Hilton and going towards.
Maybe we need to call the Hilton and see if there's some security footage.
Were you and your female friend both take the dive, or was that just you that went off the scooter?
No, it was just me. We all took scooters, but it was just me. Yeah.
And
yeah,
did you go to the hospital at all?
No, I did not. I just went back to the room and laid out for the day and took the flight on Tuesday.
So that was your last rib. That was your last day in Aruba.
Yeah.
Ugh. How bad was a flight with a cracked rib?
It was awful. But I usually don't take Advils and ibuprofen, so I took a bunch. I actually was feeling good on the plane, and then, right after that little nap, I woke up. I was like, I couldn't move. I was like an ice block. Like me trying to get up off the seat. I'm like, ugh. Some lady's like, "Are you okay? Did you get jumped in Aruba?" I was like, "No." Someone thought in the air. I can't even laugh because it hurts my rib cage, whatever. But
can't laugh.
There was an MMA convention there. So people thought I was in the MMA convention when I got into the airport. They were like, "Oh, how'd you do this weekend?" I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, "Oh, were you at the convention?" I'm like, no. That was my relaxation trip.
I mean, Kaz, the Jets are hurting Frankie physically now. It's clear and evident now, making him take dives off of scooters. Once he heard that potentially, we could be doing another week of Justin Fields. He's like, you know what? But now we got Tyrod Taylor, and gentlemen, that's where I'll start the episode after that wild trip for Frankie. Look, Frankie, we talked to Kaz on I think it was Monday, yeah, when they announced that, or it came out the report that we're going to go to Tyrod. So I'll start there. Justin Fields did not have a great game at all last week against the Patriots. There were a couple of drops, but there was a lot of plays where you felt like there were missed opportunities in the passing game. Aaron Glenn clearly sees it on the film. And I just wanted to I'll start with you, Frankie, your takeaways on the fact that the Jets are making the move to Tyrod Taylor here this week.
I mean, listen, to be completely honest, I don't think it's going to matter all that much. I really don't. I think Tyrod is on his last legs, literally. He's like me out there at this point, if I was trying to play quarterback. So I just don't see it right. I do like the move. I think it's Aaron Glenn giving his team a message that they're trying to put the best players out there to give them the best chance to win. But what is Tyrod going to give us? I mean, look at what he did against Tampa. That game, he threw that pick six before the half. We should have won that game if that doesn't happen. I don't know. Yeah, will it be better? Yeah, but how much better? You're not going to have that running threat that you will with Fields there. So I do like the move. Don't get me wrong. And I think it'll help them run a better passing offense to a degree. But this move there's no real upside here. It's just like a lateral move to me, to be honest.
Well, I think Kaz might argue opposite way just because the Jets were averaging a league worst 139.9 yards passing per game. Fields has thrown for 200 yards only once in the past 5 games. So it's the league's worst right now, right, Kaz? So I mean, it can only go up from here with Tyrod.
I get what Frankie's arguing. I mean, to some degree, it is shuffling the chairs on the Titanic at this point, but
yeah,
I think he can run a competent offense. I don't think he's going to put up 400 yards a game or anything like that, but I think you might get 200 yards of passing, like maybe, and I think he can keep the offense kind of in rhythm for the most part and moving. Like it just feels like this offense just hasn't been able to sustain anything all season, and so maybe Tyrod can do that. I don't know if it's necessarily be this week against the Ravens, but maybe against the Falcons and Dolphins he can do that. The Jaguars too, but so he, you know, I think too with the idea, I do think there's a real thing here of like you need to figure out what you have in Mitchell and Mechie, and even to a lesser degree, it's not that you don't have to make a decision on him, but Mason Taylor, like let's kind of like can you get him more involved in the offense and see how big of a weapon he can be? And it's just the offense had nothing to it with Justin Fields, so and maybe Brees Hall gets thrown the ball. Maybe Tyrod Taylor can throw the ball to a running back and not get him killed on a screen pass and that kind of thing. So I just think you had to make the move, which I think Frankie isn't arguing against the move, but you had to make it because Fields had just been so poor for so long now. Does it make a huge difference? Probably not, but I do think you can have a professional offense with Tyrod Taylor.
I agree with you guys. I mean, look, I think if Glenn had his way and Tyrod had actually stayed healthy after the Carolina game, we probably would have saw Tyrod start that game against the Bengals after Woody Johnson had came out and made those comments. And I think Glenn even knew that the offense was not going because he benched Fields for Tyrod in that game pretty much. So, I mean, it all came down to this offense is not doing anything like you said. I want to ask this to both of you. Is this going to be the last time, though, that we see Justin Fields in a Jets uniform?
No shot, Ryan. No shot. He'll be no shot. I've seen this movie too many times. Where I can remember, if you guys remember this game in 2012, the Jets played the Titans on a Monday night, and Sanchez had a miserable game. A couple interceptions. The last play of the game was a bad snap from Mangold. Like I think it hit someone in motion, and it was a fumble. And it was an ugly game. The Titans won, and I remember Rich Cimini looked at me and said, "That's the last time we'll ever see Mark Sanchez." And he was benched after that for Greg McElroy. And then Greg McElroy was sacked 12 times and had a concussion, and Sanchez had to play the next game. So we saw Sanchez again. Then, I'll go more recent vintage, Zach Wilson. We'll never see Zach Wilson again. They got Aaron Rodgers. Zach Wilson's not going to play. Oh, Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, and here comes Zach Wilson for a whole season. So, and Tyrod, obviously his track record in the last however many years is he can't stay on the field. So I think we'll see Justin Fields again before the season's over, Ryan.
Well, that's
the question there. Well, the question becomes the only way that doesn't happen, obviously, is two ways. One, Tyrod stays healthy, which I'm with Kaz there. But people think Brady Cook at some point might come in here. So, I mean, if Tyrod stays, I'm with Kaz. I don't see it. People were trying to assume what Aaron Glenn said last time he spoke. suggested that they'd look at Brady Cook. I don't know where they got that from.
I think he suggested we're not going to look at Brady Cook. Yeah. I thought Aaron.
What was the question there? Yeah.
Just update us on his progress because we haven't asked about Brady Cook since August. So it's just kind of an update on where his development, and like Glenn was like still developing. And he basically said like I won't rule anything out, but like Brady, like I get like the backup quarterback is always the most popular guy on the roster. But like Brady Cook's an undrafted free agent. Those guys at quarterback don't usually play as rookies. I'm trying to think of an undrafted free agent quarterback who played as a rookie. Like there's obviously instances where they become good quarterbacks at some point, but it doesn't usually happen their rookie year. I think that's a lot to add because I've seen some people say, oh well, look like some of these other teams are playing rookie quarterbacks, but they're all draft picks that they're playing as rookies. Like even if they're day 3 picks like Shador, they still were drafted.
Yeah,
there's a reason he wasn't drafted.
I will say, did Tony Romo start his rookie year?
No,
he didn't. Okay,
no, he was. Yeah, I don't think he played for like 3 years. Like he was. Yeah, because I actually was in training camp when Romo was a rookie because Vinny was the quarterback.
Okay, and what about Warren Moon?
Warren Moon be a little different because Warren Moon played in Canada before he ever played in the NFL.
And then
Warren Moon may have, but Warren Moon might have played in Canada. And Warren Moon played in Canada for many years before he played in the NFL.
And then I'm just checking Kurt Warner, his rookie year as well.
No, Kurt Warner was with the Packers behind Favre as a rookie.
Really?
Kurt Warner went to Europe.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then Kurt Warner went to Europe, and he developed in Europe, and then he came back and played for the Rams. But yeah, that was like 1999 was probably his 5th season out of college.
Gotcha.
So that's like what I'm talking about. Like you can develop. Yeah. I'm not saying Brady Cook in 5 years can't be something, but very difficult. If you were undrafted, that means the NFL thinks you weren't ready. And it's not the same as like, an undrafted defensive end that can play 20 snaps a game. You're playing quarterback. It's different. So
like a name popped up in my head, like Tanner McKee popped up in my head, but he was drafted in the 6th round and he played the next year, not even his.
Yeah, I think Brock Purdy is probably the best. Brock Purdy's probably the best example.
Brock Purdy's the best one.
But Brock Purdy also had Kyle Shanahan, as his coach, which helped, and then a fantastic team around him.
That begs the question then, if we are going to see Fields again this year, then it is potentially his one and only year, like a one and done for Justin Fields with the Jets, his tenure here. Would that happen?
Yeah, I think so. I think it feels that way now, Ryan. I get it's a big number to eat next year, but they can make a post June 1 and split it up. It's hard for me to envision him as the guy they want as the backup for whoever they draft. And I'm assuming they draft a quarterback just for a few reasons. I don't think he's the veteran guy you want teaching your quarterback. He just hasn't had success in the NFL. So what does Justin Fields know? You know what I mean? I'd rather have a guy who's been around a little bit, had a little success, and he doesn't strike me as a great leader. I've covered a lot of quarterbacks getting benched over 15 years, right? You guys can go through the numbers. I can't remember ever a guy getting benched and refusing to speak to reporters the day he was benched. And that might be a little thing to people and they might not care, but to me it's a tell that you're not really a leader. Like to me, you stand up, you answer the questions. We're never going to talk to him again after that if he doesn't play. Like we're going to leave him alone, but like you got to do it that day. Even Zach Wilson, for all the slings and arrows he took, he did it when he got benched. So that kind of stood out to me. And then the other thing is just his play style. I don't know if he's conducive to being a backup quarterback, right? Like, because you're probably not going to have a starter who plays like him. And now, like, do you have to change the whole offense if he has to come in? I think you'd rather just have a guy who's more of a traditional drop back quarterback as your backup.
It makes sense, Kaz. And it's something interesting you point out, that the fact that he hasn't spoken to the media after getting benched. I will say this, though.
And we're recording this Friday morning. He might talk today.
He might talk today.
We have locker room today. Yeah.
But even like you said, though.
But I was kind of surprised he didn't talk. He was in the locker room Wednesday and just didn't want to talk to us.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, well,
and then people might say, oh, well, leave him alone. He got benched, but it's part of the job. Yeah. It's part of the gig, and you're getting a lot of money, and we're holding tape recorders, not guns. It's not that hard.
No, I agree with you, Cos, but it's also been brewing. It's been brewing him to get it benched because of how bad he's been this year. And ultimately, this is something we have to play Monday morning quarterback a little bit with. Like, it's the move that the Jets made in the offseason to go for Justin Fields as their starting quarterback, giving him $40 million. I mean, how much critique does Glenn and Muji deserve for choosing this as their starting quarterback option in year one?
Frank, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was a bad move. Was it catastrophically bad? Is it a make or break move?
It's the worst passing offense in the NFL.
Yeah, but Ryan, what was the upside with anybody else, really?
I mean, better than the worst quarterback performance in the NFL. Like, am I crazy right now? Like, this is what I'm saying, guys. Like, they chose Justin Fields, a guy who had led some of the worst passing offenses in the last couple of years. And now, when the same thing repeats for your team, you should have known it was coming. And for you to choose this as your option, it's negligent. And frankly, you deserve a lot of criticism for thinking you could fix the problem. So I have serious doubt in this leadership group to pick the right quarterback because they thought Justin Fields was the right option this year. He clearly was not the right quarterback option. You saw it in training camp. And it's I don't care, man. Like, you were negligent this year and chose to go with that.
Yeah. You know what? You're right to a degree. I think I can meet you a little bit more on your side. I knew this guy stunk from day one. We spoke about it on this show. He was never somebody that they were going to put together an offense with those, weapons and that amateur staff on offense. It never made sense. My whole point back to you is my issue with what they did with the quarterback was not bringing a young kid behind him that could soak up what Tanner Engstrand was putting together. And then maybe we're having a real conversation about putting a rookie in, not a UDFA that has no right to be playing in their rookie year.
That's a good point.
That's the only place I'm coming from, Ryan. But you're right. It was a bad move. The money makes it look even worse. I didn't see any reason, and maybe you could touch on this, but was the market for Fields really that? I know Fields came here. He was told he was going to start. He had the confidence in Glenn, and Glenn had the confidence in him. But $30 million guaranteed, $40 million. He seems like a 2-year, $15 million quarterback kind of thing, right? I don't know.
Yeah, that's where my issue is the money. Because I actually, guys, I always try to be don't like to reverse myself. I wrote last December that Fields was the best option for them. Like when Baker and Rodgers wasn't coming, because I was sort of looking at, okay, who is the next Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield type of guy, that reclamation project, because I didn't see any veteran options that were really appealing. I didn't think they were going to draft a quarterback. So, I wrote that at the time, so I can't now say, oh, it was a terrible decision. I think where the terrible decision was giving him $30 million. So I don't, Frankie. The only team I know was interested was the Steelers, right? They wanted to bring him back, but they weren't going to bring him back for that money. And feels like the Jets sort of gave him that money, promised him the job, all this stuff to try to get him here, which is that part of it's weird to me. I think it was take a chance on this guy. Like the Buccaneers took a chance on Baker Mayfield, but they didn't give him $30 million, right? And I remember the Buccaneers were here when Baker his first year, and he was competing with Kyle Trask for the starting job. Sam Darnold wasn't handed the starting job in Minnesota. It was supposed to be J.J. McCarthy, and then he got hurt, and Sam stepped in. So I think two mistakes were made. I think the money was way too much, and guaranteeing him the job was the other part that was the mistake. They probably, whether it was a draft pick or whether it was another veteran, they probably should have had somebody competing for the job last summer. They probably should have had a little quarterback competition. It was always weird to me that Aaron Glenn preached you got to earn your keep, right? He's used that phrase, you have to earn your keep, and but Justin Fields was handed the job. It never really made much sense to me, but I think it was negotiations. I think they promised him the job till he would come. But yeah, it's no doubt now with the results, Ryan. It was obviously it was the wrong move.
Yeah. I mean, look,
you can't argue with it now.
I know, and you have told me, Ryan, Sam Darnold was never coming here, Daniel Jones was never coming here. Understood. Jacoby Brissett, Jameis Winston, Mac Jones, hell, I'd take Josh Dobbs at this point. I mean, Mason Rudolph, Drew Lock. I would have taken any of those quarterback options over this current thing that you saw from Justin Fields, because what you did now is you burnt another year of Garrett Wilson in his prime, and it sucks that he's gotten hurt, and this has been a lost year for him. But you burnt another year of Garrett Wilson. You burnt a year of Breece Hall in his prime, and then not to mention the fact you took a rookie tight end in Mason Taylor. How is he supposed to develop in this offense? Like, you're going to tell me Tyrod Taylor is going to help him along the way the rest of the season and really find his true potential? Like, it's negligent, Kaz. And that's where I find that these bad organizations stay bad.
Negligent's tough, bro. I think negligent is tough. I do get their thinking. He was a first-round pick. We all watched what he did at Ohio State. He had a really, there was all this, if you looked at his last 16 starts before he came here, right? The 6 in Pittsburgh and the end of 2020 in Chicago, he had shown promise. He had improved. I get their thinking. So negligent is tough. It was the wrong decision. It didn't work. It was the wrong decision. But I also don't know if everyone was screaming in March that it was the wrong decision. I think you're seeing the results and now everyone's screaming. But, it's not like people are going, oh, go get Mac Jones. Like, that's the answer. And the Daniel Jones thing, he couldn't have come here. It wouldn't have worked in New York. Sam Darnold couldn't have come here. It wouldn't have worked in New York. Like, there was just too much baggage with those guys here. They needed somewhere where they didn't have the baggage of their where they were drafted. So, but it's and I find it hard now to argue, oh, they should have signed Jacoby Brissett. Like, Justin Fields had more potential than that. It didn't work.
How?
He did.
Jacoby Brissett was
because he was a first-round pick, right?
That means nothing. He had the worst passing offense in Chicago in 2022. I mean, you've seen it before.
I know, but he played pretty well in 2023 at the end, and he played decently for Pittsburgh last year, right? They were 4-2, and so I get what they saw. They paid way too much for him, and they should have had competition for him in here. They shouldn't have just handed him the job. But I do understand what they were thinking in March.
I think what they wanted to do, Ryan, I think hindsight's a little bit 2020 here with Brissett. I hear you, though. You could run a more traditional offense with Jacoby. He's been balling, by the way. Mac Jones has been balling. There's Jeff fans right now talking about trading a 4th-round pick for Mac Jones to start next year.
Hey, Kyle Shanahan come with him?
So, Ryan, you're right, but to a degree. But what I think they wanted to do with Justin, which I didn't buy, but there was a world where it could have worked, is that read option, that scrambling attack that you get with Fields at the helm. We never got there. The concussion kicked in, the leg injury. Fields was supposed to run wild this year. I mean, there was a world, where that was supposed to be the case. 800 rushing yards.
Frankie. Glenn even admitted it. Glenn admitted it this week, Kaz, did he not? He goes, I don't think we should. We didn't want to run him as much.
That's a mistake to me. If you're gonna have Fields the quarterback,
so guys, this is what I'm saying. Like they clearly,
that part is crazy. Like they should,
So
that part is crazy.
If you're saying you wanted to run a traditional offense because you don't want to run him as much,
no, you're right.
Then you really chose the wrong quarterback to try to do that with this year, and that's my point. And then, like you said at the beginning of this whole thing, Frankie, with these weapons, you weren't going to have success. Everyone saw it. Like, I tried to put blinders on. You tried to put blinders on. I think Kaz was trying to be positive somewhat, like, let's see what happens. But at the end of the day, we all saw it back in training camp and back in the offseason when we were assembling this thing. It was a terrible decision. It was a terrible decision to go with Justin Fields. And I feel like I'm taking crazy pills because now I have to trust these guys to pick the next quarterback. And what I'm worried about, and this is what I'm truly worried about, with all the assets they have, in first-round pick capital, second-round pick, and the free agent money, cap space. We've seen them spend like madmen for a terrible quarterback position. What are you going to do in the future here that's going to give me trust that you guys are going to pick the right one now going forward? That's where I have serious doubt. That's where I think we can truly criticize these guys and say, until you prove me wrong, you deserve a lot of criticism for how you've handled this position thus far.
Yeah, and something else to just quickly add.
I just say there's not a lot of teams where you say, oh, they've nailed it time after time after time after time. It's almost like you got to get it right once. Like if you get it right once, you're
Yeah.
good. Like right, like look at like Bill Belichick did a great job in New England, right, managing that roster for how 15 years or whatever. Then all of a sudden, the decisions he made some horrible draft decisions and horrible personnel decisions, and so like he's the example of taking the best quarterback ever. And then maybe Mac Jones ends up being a better pick than it looked at the time, but Mac Jones hasn't looked like a great pick. I don't think there's
I
like
mean, Jimmy
track
Garoppolo
record
was a good pick.
necessarily.
Jimmy Garoppolo was a good pick for him.
It was an okay pick. I mean, he wasn't. Yeah, they just there isn't guys with track records. I'm saying of like drafting quarterback after quarterback after quarterback. There's you can go like Bill Walsh or somebody like
Andy
that, but
Reid.
I think it's I think there's a lot of times you just gotta get it right once. And so yeah, I understand there's no reason to believe these guys will get it right, but I also don't think you go, oh, they screwed up Justin Fields. They're definitely gonna get it wrong. They get the number one pick. That's a different animal, and you gotta get that right.
Yeah, I'm as you can tell, guys, I'm frustrated that I think you've tried to warn me enough, guys. Like Ryan, let it play out, and I try to let it play out every year. But like, the more and more I look at this now, and like I said, the hindsight is 2020. But the more and more I look at it, we were out of our freaking minds, or I was, and Frankie was, to even think that this could happen
Yeah.
and be a positive offensive game plan. And
Well,
again, go ahead.
the running thing is the key part, what you said, right?
Yeah.
Because I think back to this day, the Jets had a practice at the Giants, right? Probably the worst day of training camp for Justin Fields.
Yeah.
He
I
looked
remember that.
awful that day. He couldn't hit the side of a barn that day. And I remember talking to people, and they're just like, well, these people were not people from the Jets. They're people at the practice, but they're like, he's a running quarterback. And they're like, it's the middle of August. You don't run. So like your quarterback doesn't run. So they're like, you're not seeing what he can do. When he runs the ball, you'll see it. And like there were some practices where they did some running stuff and it worked. And think about Pittsburgh, guys. Like to me, the Pittsburgh game was the offense, right? And I was like, we
Yeah.
all walked away from that going, hey, that was pretty damn good. Like, Xavier Gibson doesn't fumble the ball in the fourth quarter. They win that game. And that was pretty good. Like everyone was high on Justin Fields after that game. Did the concussion change? I mean, he was terrible against Buffalo before the concussion, so I don't want to just totally give it the concussion. Did the concussion change things? Did the knee change things?
Yeah.
Did they just not want to do this? Like, not want to make him a running back, like Aaron Glenn said after the game the other night? Like, I don't know. I wrote my newsletter this week, like the biggest head scratchers basically of the season, and that's one of them. Is like, why didn't they run Justin Fields more? I can't understand it.
Two quick things, guys, just to kind of wrap up what you guys were saying. Ryan, I think the Tanner Engstrand point, not to go back to, my favorite person at One Jets Drive, but I think his style of offense and what he knew from Jared Goff in Detroit and Ben Johnson, it never made sense to me. Why would you want Justin Fields to be the guy at the helm? They didn't run any of that stuff that you'd want to run with Fields in Detroit. And that was really all the guy knew. He's so, inexperienced. He's looking worse this year because he's had Fields at the helm. This isn't a good year for Tanner Engstrand's resume necessarily. If you go by the numbers objectively, we see things that we like, but objectively, it's not there. The other thing is, I don't know if the Jets really understood what the assignment was this year overall. What I mean by that is, I don't know if they, wanted Fields to be the starter for this year and the next year. I don't know if they were, because they didn't even draft anybody. They didn't draft a quarterback. So I think like they kind of thought that Fields and to what you're saying, you're right. That's alarming to me if they thought that this kid was going to be here for the next 2 years. Cause I don't know, like they were expecting him to be here next year.
I don't think they thought. I don't think they thought it was a sure thing. I remember at the time I talked to somebody who said like they felt like the second year was a good idea in case he hits this year. And then you don't have to negotiate
Okay.
with like a big contract next year. They'd have him under contract. That was sort of the thinking of the second year was like, hey, if we hit on this guy, we got him for another year and we don't have to do like a big contract to keep him. So, and I like the math has changed on guys you cut. Like you used to not cut a guy that would be a $22 million cap hit. but that sort of changed in the last few years. So,
Yeah.
but it looks really bad for them if they have $57 million
With
tied up
Aaron
with Justin
Rodgers
Fields and Aaron
35.
Rodgers
Yep.
next
It
year.
looks absolutely horrific, which is why even more so, Kaz, when you say, oh, well, in case he hits for the second year, it's like, okay, but you're still looking at a $35 million dead cap hit for 2026 for the Jets. You have to account that for whatever you do for your quarterback position. And let's not forget, if they do draft a quarterback in the first round, that's more money that's going to be equated for. I know it's not as high of a hit, but it's a lot of resources all for dead, in terms of dead cap money on the quarterback position next year.
Oh, yeah, and I think,
Frankie,
to your point of like, I thought you were when you said that they didn't understand the assignment. I think that applies bigger picture than this whole thing. I think they thought they had a better team than they had. Like
Totally.
I just totally think they came in and overestimated this roster, and I think they thought they could actually like win this year. Like I don't think they thought they were going to go to the Super Bowl, but I don't think they. I think if you gave them truth serum, they couldn't believe that they're 2-8 right now, and they're this bad. And so I think that sort of messed things up too. Is like, what was this year going to be? Was this year going to be about like kind of resetting the team and resetting the roster? Like, do you pay Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner in July if that's the case? And it's become that now with trading Sauce and Quinnen. But I think they were trying to do both things this year of like win, and the competitive rebuild is what Mike McCagnon used to call it.
And it's turned into a full rebuild, like Frankie.
Competitive rebuild.
And it's turned into a full rebuild, like Frankie had told us in the offseason, unfortunately. Wow. Okay. Sorry, I went off there a little bit, but this quarterback position just really is. It's so frustrating with this franchise.
Wait, right? You thought Justin Fields was going to be good, though, didn't you? You had them winning how many
10 games? Hands up. I bought into the Aaron Glenn, Tanner Engstrand, Darren Muji. I bought into it. I was fully into it. But that's what I do as a fan, is I fantasize about how great this thing can be. You look in the hope, and you have the hope, and you try to be positive about what's going to happen. But it slaps you in the face every single week. And the more and more I look at it, I'm like, well, I was an idiot, and I'm an idiot for believing in these idiots for thinking that they can fix it, because clearly they don't know how to fix it, and they didn't. And it was a bad decision. It was a really, really bad decision. All right, let's turn over to Gang Sounds Off. I want to tee up our defensive coordinator, Steve Wilks, on the Jets defense not being able to create any turnovers to get your guys' reaction. Here is Steve Wilks on the Jets defense.
No interceptions in 10 games. How much of that is just bad luck, not being able to get a tip here and there, and how much of it is just due to maybe guys not being in the right place at the right time?
Well, I definitely don't want to say that the guys aren't in position, and I don't believe in luck. So we got to create our own luck, if you want to say that, and something that we emphasize and talk about and teach each and every day. But when we get in the course of a game, we have to have great intent for us really trying to get the ball out. You see it all the time. We show those things. I show those things each and every week across the league where guys are, getting the ball punched out. Yeah, we got to do a great job getting our hands up. I think the guy from Philly this past week got 3 tips. And, so there's opportunities there, but again, we have to be intentional about those each and every time that we're out there.
Guys, they have a negative 11 turnover ratio. They have 0 interceptions, 1 forced fumble.
That's ridiculous. By the way, you just saying that, that's mind-boggling. Sorry.
So I mean, look, I think Kaz has brilliantly pointed it out all year. Like, it shouldn't be that hard to have an interception. It happens every week. Just Hail Marys, they're turned into interceptions at the end of a half or a game. But the Jets have somehow found themselves now in Week 12 with 0 interceptions, only 1 turnover the entire season. I don't know. Like, it seems like it's been a repeated issue for this team, too, when it comes to creating turnovers. I don't know if it's a personnel thing. I don't know if it's a mentality thing. Is it something that the coaching staff has not highlighted enough on these guys? I'm sure they have, but Kaz, I'll start with you. Like, how the heck does this team continue to not be able to turn the ball over on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, it's a mystery, right? Like, there's no way the coaches aren't emphasizing it. I mean, I've seen them emphasize it. Going back to training camp, and it's not that. It's just I do believe in luck when it comes to turnovers. Like we've seen it enough times. Like I know I get what Steve Wilkes, he can't coach, can't say luck, I guess, but you've seen it where the ball's on the ground and it just doesn't bounce the way for the Jets. Like that actually happened more earlier in the season, hasn't happened lately. Um, there's been no tips, there's been no overthrows that, or if they have, they just haven't been in the right spot. There's been, Brandon Stevens kind of tripped on that one in game one against the Steelers where he could have had one.
Jarvis Brownlee getting hit in the face with a ball.
Yeah, it's just incredible. I started looking up the records now because we're at that point, and the fewest takeaways in a season is 7. So I think you're on track for that. The fewest interceptions in a season is 3, which is, interesting enough, was Salah's 49ers in 2018, I think. So, can they get 3 interceptions here and avoid that record? Maybe, but I just, even I did a pregame show in New England with the Patriots website, right? And so I brought this up because, the other team doesn't always know. Like, and I'm like, they have 0 interceptions. They're like, oh well. Drake May, he throws it up there. You can get one. And there was that one pass near the goal line that maybe they had a chance, but I don't have an explanation for it, Ryan. Like I think it has to just be the perfect storm of all these different things because one of them cannot be the explanation. Scheme, execution, luck. It's been all of it, but it's incredible. And the thing to me is this offense. We've just spent so much time talking about Justin Fields, the offense. This offense desperately needs the ball at the 25-yard line a couple times. They desperately need a pick 6 to help them win a game, and it just hasn't happened at all. I actually been meaning to do this of looking at their touchdown drives this season and how long they've all been because they feel like they're 12-play drives every time.
Yeah, they never flip the field against the opposing team.
Yeah.
Like they never get that script part of the game, and it feels like the Jets are always playing deep in their own zone offensively because of just they don't cause any turnovers. Frankie, how much criticism does this defensive staff or this defensive personnel, where would you place more of the blame here for why this team cannot cause turnovers?
Well, I did something the other day. I looked up who's leading the league in interceptions, and a familiar name came up because he used to do this all the time in Tennessee. He's doing it in Chicago, Kevin Byard. Kevin Byard, safety's leading the league with 5 interceptions. He's led the league before in interceptions. I remember his second year in the league at 8 interceptions. Ryan, it's a personnel thing to me more than it is a coaching thing. Now, I agree with Kaz. Only having 1 turnover across 10 games is literally luck, but not having an interception at this point, guys, you got to look at some of those D-backs and question what kind of football IQ do these guys have? They're always one step behind. Are they able to bait a quarterback into throwing a pick? I mean, that stuff happens. I get the tip ball stuff. We've set such a low bar for turnovers that we're just looking at those situations, just someone punching it out and it just falling in our lap or a tip ball. But there's interceptions where guys bait quarterbacks. There's interceptions where guys like Peanut Tillman his whole career just knows how to punch it out. I mean, like Tyrann Mathieu we've seen. He just always finds his way to the ball. Ed Reeds. I mean, I'm not saying we got those guys, but you got to get some guys in there that can do that stuff. We don't have anyone. We're hoping for these lucky instances for turnovers, but right, I think in Kaz, I think it's a personnel issue, man. You look at I didn't do this the other day. I probably did this like a few months ago, but I'm looking at because I figured we'd have this conversation because we spoke about this week 2 or 3. Like, how long are we gonna go without a turnover? If you look at like the leaders in interceptions in NFL history and fumble recoveries, like there's a lot of familiar names up there, guys that we all know and are like Hall of Famers. It's not like a lucky list of players, so the personnel's got to change. They need to, in the offseason, bring in a D-back. I wanted Justin Simmons a few years ago. They need to bring in somebody that can sniff it out. Seriously, that knows what's going on, that can mass coverages, and they're doing it, not the coaching staff.
Yeah, is aggressive towards the ball too, and can make those plays. Like
of course,
said, Frankie. Yeah, it's
Brandon Eccles. Frankie. Brandon Eccles go.
He was the only one we had.
Interceptions.
Yeah, he was awesome.
I mean, their sacks aren't
no,
even.
we don't want him.
But also, like, their sacks don't turn into forced fumbles. Like, they haven't turned into many for them. Like, that's another thing where you look at, like, can you create more fumbles when you're sacking the quarterback? Attack the ball with the quarterback in the pocket. So it's very frustrating. And it raises more and more. I understand the personnel side. I still think we have to raise the red flags on Steve Wilkes and this defense. I think I thought it was very easy for the Patriots to move the ball against this Jets defense again last week. I know the secondary was really banged up, but it just felt like the Jets didn't have really any like solve for Drake May or the Patriots offense, and it just we'll see how it goes this week against the Ravens. The Ravens have struggled a little bit on offense, especially with Lamar in and out of the lineup, and Derrick Henry has not gotten it going really this season, so. I'm interested to see how that plays out, and that'll turn us into the key matchups this week for the Week 12 matchup between the Jets and the Ravens. I'll start with Kaz. What is your key matchup for Jets versus Ravens?
Yeah, I think you just hit it. Derrick Henry is interesting to me, right? Can the Jets slow him down? As bad as the defensive performance was in New England, and I get that they gave up the rushing touchdowns, they didn't give up a lot of rushing yards to New England. I think it was like 65, something like that. They averaged like 2 point something to carry. So I thought the rushing defense actually played pretty well outside of the red zone when they gave up the touchdowns, which obviously is a big other than, so I'm curious, can they slow Derrick Henry down? Obviously, the Ravens offense is not clicking on all cylinders as Lamar works his way back, is dealing with injuries. So I have a feeling the Ravens are going to really try to get the running game going, and can the Jets slow that down? And it's an interesting now D-line without Quinnen. I think they're adjusting. That's that one to me is the matchup to watch.
Frankie?
All right, I got a nice matchup for everybody. So one of my favorite receivers in the league, not on the Jets, is Zay Flowers. I'm a big Zay Flowers fan. Zay Flowers likes to go across the middle. He likes those crossing routes, Ryan, the ones that give us nightmares out there as Jeff fans. Brandon Stevens, he's ranked the 12th best corner on PFF, having a really good year, actually. Actually, that contract looks okay at this point. It looks pretty good, actually. How does Brandon Stevens line up against Zay Flowers? Zay Flowers was able to get it done with Lamar out of the lineup. Lamar's back, seems to be semi-healthy. Let's see what Brandon Stevens can do against Zay Flowers. You know Steve Wilkes is going to dial up those man coverages, so that's my key matchup of the day. Zay could have a big day, but if Brandon's playing as well as we think he is, and what the next gen stats are saying he is, maybe he can neutralize Zay Flowers. We'll see. I think this is a big test though for Brandon Stevens. It's a tough matchup. Zay Flowers very athletic, gets in and out of his cuts he's extremely explosive. So we'll see what you got, Brandon.
It'll be interesting to see how Lamar can get that going too with Zay. For me, it was going to be this Jets passing attack versus the Ravens secondary, which is giving up the ninth most passing yards per game in the NFL right now. But honestly, I think I have to go back to what we talked about with creating turnovers. It's the pass rush against Lamar and keeping contain on him because, like Kaz said, while Derrick Henry's they're going to try to establish the run. Lamar with his legs, and he's dealing with an ankle injury. He had a hamstring, I think, the week prior. So, like, it's been different. Knee injury also. He's been battling a lot of leg injuries, but he still is an explosive playmaker. So I wonder if the Jets are going to be able to keep contain on Lamar because that is going to be on Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald, both guys who are very athletic. You know, it's funny. Jermaine was saying he cut out sugars this week and this season to try and lose an extra couple pounds and feel faster on the field. He's going to need it against a guy like Lamar, who he actually got his first career sack against in the NFL. Was against Lamar Jackson.
Nice stat.
Nice little stat there. And that brings us to trivia, fellas. I got Stump Kaz here. Oof. I think I got a good one here, but let's see if he remembers this one.
Oh, boy. Here we go. Some freaking Ravens anecdote from
well,
can't be that long ago. The Ravens
not that long ago. Do you know the all-time record? This is not the Stump Kaz question for everyone. Do you know the all-time record?
Oh, come on. Wait, we're getting bonus questions
Yeah,
now?
bonus questions.
Go ahead. What?
Do you know the all-time record for Jets versus Ravens?
2-10.
That is correct. Jets are 2-10 versus the Ravens all time.
They've never won in that building.
No. And this is the Stump Kaz question. Who was the leading rusher? Who was the leading rusher for the Jets in their last win over the Ravens?
Last win over the Ravens would have been 2016. Geno Smith started that game, tore his ACL.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about, will we ever see Justin Fields again? That was, will we ever see Fitz again? And then tore his ACL. So 2016, the leading rusher in that game for the Jets is a question.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been one Matt Forte.
Bang! He is really good at this. Look at him go. Matt Forte, 100 rushing yards, 1 touchdown, 4 catches for 54 yards, and a receiving touchdown for Matt Forte. Can Breece Hall have the same?
He had a good little run in 2016. He
Yeah.
had a good little run. People forget because
he did.
The season was so bad, but he actually had a good run there.
Extra bonus points if you know who the Ravens quarterback was that game.
The Ravens quarterback that game, it wasn't Flacco.
No, it was Joe Flacco. I just wanted to,
Flacco. Yeah.
I just wanted to
That's
test you to
what I
make
was
sure
like,
you were all tuned in
Gotta
there.
be Flacco, right?
Yeah. That's funny. Like again,
The Jets quarterback that day is the good one.
that's why I tied it
that's
in there,
Geno's-
cause it was Geno Smith to start.
That's Geno's last start.
Then I went to Fitz,
That's his
and he
last
won
start.
the game. Yeah. All right, guys.
Oh, that was
Yeah,
Geno's
that's
last
the game.
star. Wow.
That was his last start with the Jets, and that's when Fitz, after the game, gave one of the all-time post-game press conferences where he basically slammed Todd Bowles, for doubting him and all this stuff. And then Todd was asked about it like the next day, and Todd goes, "If Fitz isn't going to throw interceptions and throw touchdowns, he can be mad at me all he wants."
Todd was the best, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Cool guy.
That was a guy the Jets shouldn't have let go, to be honest with you. See how much success he's having in Tampa Bay, too. All right, fellas, over-unders and some picks. Kaz, you went 2-4 last week. But Frankie went 1-5.
Again?
Yeah.
Oh my Lord.
Now, let me just say this before we get to the picks as well. Breece Hall's rushing total was 58.5 last week.
I was about to ask you, and
Frankie,
he got 58.
He got 58. Kaz hit the under. You had the over. So that helped Kaz get to 2-4.
Remember that during the
last
game.
week. Crazy how Vegas always knows. Vegas always knows.
Well, and the pick, Ryan.
Even the spread.
My pick, if you,
I was going to
my
bring it
pick-
up, Kaz. I didn't want to bring it up yet.
Ooh.
We'll bring it up after
All right.
over-unders. Here we go. Lamar Jackson, 207.5 passing yards. Kaz.
over.
All right. Frankie.
Piggybacking off of Kaz. Over.
All right. Let's go to the other quarterback, Tyrod Taylor, 189.5 passing yards. Kaz.
Oh, that's a good number. Under.
Frankie.
I agree. Under.
All right. Let's go to Tyrod Taylor's passing touchdowns. They have it at 0.5 passing touchdowns, which means does Tyrod throw for 1 touchdown at least? Kaz?
Yeah, I'll go over on that one. I give
Right.
him 1.
Frankie?
I'm waiting for Vegas to make our passing touchdowns just 0. 0.0. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go over.
Smart man. Breece Hall, 66.5 rushing yards. Kaz.
Over.
Frankie?
Under. I'm not letting Breeze burn me this week again.
Derrick Henry, 87.5 rush yards. Kaz.
Oh, man, that's a good one. I'll go under.
Frankie?
I think big boy Derek's back, everybody. He's coming back with Lamar. I think this is his kind of game. I'm going over. Barely over, though. I don't think he's going to rush for like 120 yards. But
Speaking of Lamar, 34.5 rushing yards. Kaz.
Over.
Frankie?
that's about his average, by the way, this year, the lowest of his career by like around 10 yards. But I'm going to go over. Actually, no, you know what? I'm going to go under. Excuse me. I'm going to go under. I went over for Derek. Let me go under for him rushing.
All right, so that's Frankie and Kaz's over-under. On the season, Kaz is now 37-29, so you're up 8 units. And Frankie is 26-40. You'd be down 14 units if you were following.
You'd lose
Frankie's,
everything.
You'd be losing
You'd
a lot
lose
of money
everything.
right now.
Yep,
Now
no
let's
vacation money.
Let's pick this game, and I want to bring up that Mr. Costello was off by 3 points last week in his prediction for the Patriots over the Jets. He had them at
and Ryan, the Patriots kicker, missed the field goal before halftime.
He had him at 30-14. The final score was 27-14 Patriots.
I thought he said 27-14 on this show.
I
he
said
30.
The dude makes the kick. The dude makes the kick. It's 30.
Yeah.
So that brings Kaz to 7-3, Frankie 5-5, myself at 6-4. I'll start off with Frankie. Give us your prediction for Jets versus Ravens. The Jets are 13.5-point dogs.
Wow.
All right. So I was going back and forth with this a bunch, like I do with everything. Like I did on that scooter, I was going back and forth before I crashed. I think, honestly, guys, I think the Jets play a hard football game. I don't think the Baltimore Ravens, something isn't right with them this year. I don't really know what it is. Just doesn't smell right what's going on in Baltimore. Lamar's been hurt. They don't really have another weapon outside of Zay Flowers. He has over 700 receiving yards. Nobody else has over 300 there. They're not using their tight ends like they usually do. Third highest pressure rate. Get into the quarterback allowed in the NFL. I think the Jets keep it close. I think, though, and to make it a little bit dramatic, I think it's going to come down to the last drive of the game. I think we're going to be down 3 points. Tyrod's going to come back there. He's going to get the troopers in there. He's going to be ready to go. Everyone's out there. We're going to score and win the game. That's what all the Jet fans are going to say or think. And then he's going to throw a pick to end the game. So the Ravens are going to beat us. It's going to be a last drive attempt on our end to win the game. I'm just being a little dramatic with the pick, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I have the Ravens beating us 24-21. But the Jets put up a good fight, similar to
cover
what they did against New England. It's a cover. Yep. I think the game will be tight.
Kaz?
I don't think it's gonna be that tight, but I think the first half, I think the Jets will keep it close. I think this could be Ryan. I think this could be like Frankie on the scooter, the beach, the wind in his hair, riding the sun beating down his face in Aruba, thinking about what he's gonna do. Right, so the Jets will be cruising along.
Whoa, easy,
maybe
easy.
Maybe 14, maybe 14-14 at halftime, right? Maybe a tie game at halftime, a little surprise. Okay, and so they're there, they're looking at the sky, thinking about they're gonna get something to drink, maybe lay on the beach, and then all of a sudden, boom! The Ravens are gonna get them, and they're gonna explode in the second half. And like Frankie laying on the ground, holding his broken rib, the Jets are going to lose 35-17, Ryan. Ravens 35, Jets 17.
Oh, my God. That's an amazing pick.
Oh, that was good.
Oh, man. I don't know how I follow that up. Look, I think I'll say this to Frankie, what he was saying before. So you're saying something's not right with the Ravens? I need you to go back and look at their schedule to start the year. They lost to Buffalo. They beat the Browns. And then look at this gauntlet they faced. They lost to the Lions. They lost to the Chiefs. They lost to the Texans. And they lost to the Rams. All of them playoff teams and arguably you can argue Super Bowl contending teams. Then they just rattled off 4 straight wins against the Bears, the Dolphins, the Vikings, and the Browns. They're going to beat up on the Jets as well. It's going to be similar to that Thursday night game against the Dolphins. I got the Ravens over the Jets. They're going to run all over us. It's going to be 28-10 over the New York Jets. That's a Gangs All Here show, guys. That's a Week 12 matchup. Frankie's going to go ice up here a little bit. We'll do a post-game live show after this game this Sunday. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on the New York Post Sports YouTube channel. Follow us there for the post-game live show. We'll be back with Kaz next week. We'll talk a little Thanksgiving, I'm sure. We'll talk our favorite side dishes. Because, everyone knows they're going to be paying attention to that Jets versus Falcons game. But before we can do any of that, fellas, I hope you both have a great weekend, and we're looking forward to your coverage throughout the game, Kaz. Thank you both as always, and we'll catch you next time.